The House of Representatives left Washington, D.C. without a deal being reached on raising the American debt ceiling. This is a vital matter. It's important to understand because we are at an hour where a catastrophe is drawing very close. The Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, has set June 5th as the date where the United States government will run out of money, be unable to meet its obligations, and pay off its debt. It will shatter the full faith and credit of the United States on a MAGA rock. This crisis is completely unnecessary. It's completely manufactured. It's occurring because of the radical House MAGA conference that is led by Kevin McCarthy. This has always been in the cards since the moment that Kevin McCarthy became House Speaker on the 15th ballot. The American media, cable news, and newspapers filled with reports that an imminent deal is at hand over the debt ceiling. They're telling the American people that very soon a compromise will be reached. But there's a problem with that narrative. There is no instance ever, as in never ever, where Kevin McCarthy has ever been able to reach any deal. Not as a minority leader in the California legislature, not as a minority leader in the United States Congress, and certainly not as Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy is a hostage when he's not being a vandal. He's part of a nihilistic pack that cares nothing about the prosperity, the future, the strength, the integrity, the prestige of the United States of America. Kevin McCarthy is weakening the country because Kevin McCarthy is the hostage of the most extreme politicians in America. One of them is Matt Gaetz. Now, what is Matt Gaetz? The most proximate word in the English language to describe him is cretin. He is a cretin, a privileged, entitled, spoiled, rotten young man who comes from immense wealth, who has been shielded from accountability, has been shielded from consequences all of his life. Matt Gaetz is a punk. Matt Gaetz has objected to Kevin McCarthy's negotiations with the White House. He said, "Why would we negotiate with our hostage?" And that is exactly the point. Hostages. Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz and an extremist cabal have taken hostages to make a political point. They have a gun pointed at the head of those hostages. Who are those hostages? Is it Joe Biden? Is he the hostage? It's not Joe Biden. It's me. It's my kids. And you. And your kids. We are all Kevin McCarthy's hostages and Matt Gaetz hostages, which raises a question when you look at the foundations of our government. Do we elect members of Congress to take the nation, its economy, in fact, the global economy hostage over nonsensical demands? Now, understanding what this issue is really important. And it's also important to be honest about something. The White House's approach to this issue has been inept, to say the least. President Biden said he would never negotiate with economic terrorists who sought a default of the full faith and credit of the United States unless they got their way on a series of demands. This artificial crisis is about nothing other than pleasing the rage industrial complex and billion-dollar division industry that flows out of Fox News. And what is happening is a threat to everybody's pensions, everybody's retirements, everybody in the country's life savings, for no reason whatsoever. Now, the American debt is an issue that every American should worry about. $32 trillion in debt makes the United States government the biggest debtor in world history. The spending is out of control. And it's important to understand this. There is no responsible spending party in Washington in the United States. Both political parties are big spending parties, but there is no party that has been more irresponsible in the modern era with the taxpayer dollars than the Republican Party. And there has been no person during the modern era from 1992 forward that has spent more money, been more profligate than Donald Trump and the MAGA Congress. And now that MAGA Congress, after spending all of that money, is saying, we won't pay the bill. We won't pay the proverbial credit card tab. And that default is something that every generation of American leaders since the beginning of the Republic has understood. The full faith and credit of the United States is a moral proposition. What it says is that investing in America is a safe bet. And after nearly 250 years, until this moment, it was the safest bet in the world. So all over the world, investors, sovereign wealth funds, foreign nations, adversaries, enemies, and allies are watching aghast as a small gaggle of extremists takes the American economy, and along with it, the world economy and all of us hostage. We have been brought low as a nation by some of the worst people in the nation. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene, people like Matt Gaetz, people like Ron DeSantis, who promised this week in the early hours after his failed presidential launch to pardon many of the seditionists and vandals who assaulted the Capitol of the United States on January 6th. The issue at hand for the United States in 2024 is existential. We will not maintain American prosperity, power, and opportunity if we are led by imbeciles and fools whose hearts are filled with malice, like Matt Gaetz. He's a nihilist. He wants to see the fire because he wants to see the fire. He doesn't care about you, about your families, about anything other than getting attention. And it's shameful. It isn't just a dereliction of duty. It's a betrayal of the country. Now, when the media tells you that a deal is at hand, don't believe them. Because one thing has been clear, there haven't been a lot of deals. There's just been a lot of pronouncements, a lot of posturing, a lot of lying. And over and over and over again over these recent years, the American people have had a lack of imagination about the damage that can be done to the country's stability, to its power, to its prosperity by its rogue politicians. There's no evidence to suggest that any of the parties negotiating will be able to reach a deal. And if they do, at the end of the day, the jury on whether that deal gets ratified starts with Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. No one should be optimistic. This may be well the instance where we find out how much damage people like Matt Gaetz with a little bit of power can cause. When the Congress comes back to Washington, D.C., the hours will begin to run short. Financial markets will begin to destabilize. June 5th is the magic day now. Maybe it can be stretched for a few hours or a few more days. We'll see. But the fact of the matter is, we have created a crisis. We have come to the edge of the cliff, and there is no deal at hand, at least not yet. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you never miss a video. Also, for more content just like this, please consider joining our Warning Premium community. You can find out more in the description below.